Hey there, welcome in everyone. It's time for the Risk and Rewards playtest. Paizo has released two new classes, the Daredevil and the Slayer, and I figured I hadn't looked at it, so we may as well look at it together and get some impressions, figure out, are these classes any good? How well do they work? We'll be playtesting them, but we can at least look through the PDFs. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at the Risk and Rewards playtest. So, we got two classes, Daredevil, which is allegedly all about high-risk abilities and building adrenaline to fuel them, which, quote-unquote, sometimes gets them into trouble. So, some kind of resource build-up system, maybe? And the second class, the Slayer, a monster hunter extraordinaire using their knowledge of creatures and tactics to their full advantage. They take trophies from their kills. Okay. We might get something good out of that, which enhances their weapons and armor. Okay, they will appear in an upcoming source book for summer 2027. All right, well, why don't we start with Slayer? Daredevil. Daredevil's the one in front, so we'll start with that. So, playtest. All right, so what do we start with? Daredevil. You rush headlong where others fear to tread, heedless of dangers. All right, strength or dex. Okay, so either physical. It's not locked into one. 8 hit points. Oh, so you're on the weak boy side of things. You're not like a frontliner. You're like a midliner or a flanker. Okay. I got a grapefruit, by the way, so if it sounds like I'm shoving large things in my mouth, you know. Who isn't? All right. Initial proficiencies. You gain expert perception. That's a good start. Expert fortitude and reflex. Love that. Trained in will. Very physical, very physical. Trained in acrobatics and athletics, plus 4 skills. Oh, they're good at skills. That means you get 6 skills plus int. Okay. I'm guessing you're supposed to use acrobatics and athletics on this class. So kind of expect to be pumping strength and dex in that case. But 6 skills is pretty good. It's, you're not a rogue, but maybe, I know everyone was saying, oh, this sounds like swashbuckler, but it might be one of those like kind of skill utility, but not as good as close combat kind of classes. All right. What else do we got? Martial weapons, only light armor, huh? Okay. Sure. You're constantly on the move. The act of mere fighting isn't enough to keep your adrenaline pumping. Push yourself off walls, spin around pillars, ricochet between larger foes, while risking the ire of more reactive combatants. Okay, so you are actively vulnerable to reactive strike. Got it. You might not hit as hard. Your follow-up attacks are often more reliable, so you tend to hit more often. Interesting. Okay. Some personality stuff. All right. Yep. So adrenaline. All right. So is this the class's whole thing? You have a heightened state when you risk your life called adrenaline. You gain it by performing actions that have the risky trait. The game master might determine dangerous actions like leaping chasms and sprinting across hazards are risky. So if you sprint across the fire to get to your friends faster, that's risky. You gain adrenaline. Typically, they're gonna involve at least one action and do some damage to you or risk it. If you're intended to be taking environmental damage as you do stupid stuff, it's shocking to me that this is an 8 hit point class. I would expect someone who's eating ground dots, the spicy ground, to have more than 8 hit points a level, but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe they generate a lot of temp HP. Adrenaline Yeah, you gain adrenaline at the start of the risky action before you roll. Oh, okay. The adrenaline lasts until the beginning of your next turn, so you must constantly perform risky actions to keep it flowing. Oh, you can't bank it? Oh, this isn't a resource build class. This is just an on-state class. So you always have to build adrenaline. Normally, you can only gain this in combat. Makes sense. Gain the daring stunt action to gain adrenaline. Okay, this is risky. Once per round, one action. Hurl yourself into the fray. You stride or leap. You can use it while using other movement types. You must move at least 10 feet. Okay. And end adjacent to an enemy. So this is a gap closer. Or you bounce from one enemy to the other. Either way, it's a gap closer. And then you attempt to, you do not have to, you may attempt to grapple, reposition, shove, or trip. Okay. That's pretty good. So you have a one action gap closer, turn on adrenaline, and do an athletics action. I mean, grapple and trip are really strong. So, all right, cool. But is that a class? Right? All right, so adrenaline. When you have adrenaline and make an attack with the press trait, your multiple attack penalty is 1 lower. It's -4 or -3 with agile, and your second attack. Wait, on your second attack, yep, and -8 or -6 with agile on your third attack. So you do have reduced map. Not as good as a flurry ranger. This is not eating flurry ranger's lunch. Okay, good to know. Good to know. But what? So what does this do? So, sounds like they want you to gap close, trip a guy, and then hit him with, like, I don't know, maybe combat grab? This probably has combat grab. You gain normal feats. You start with the die hard feat, so you're a little harder to die. And you get healed more from battle medicine and treat wounds. Cute. Not like crazy, but it's cute. Oh. You gain an additional first level feat with the risky trait. So you always get 2 options to get adrenaline. Good. Good. That's very good for the design. Excellent. Excellent. Helps build you a class. Because yeah, it would suck if all you can do is bounce between guys, but you're fighting like one big hubba bubba. Alright, propelling strides. You can push off walls or large creatures. If you're adjacent to a prop, you gain +10 move speed for your move action when you start a move action. Okay, what is a prop? A prop. Anything large and sturdy enough for you to push off on. This includes creatures larger than you or walls, columns, and other terrain. Okay. For example, Game Master might decide you cannot use a huge ooze as a prop because it's a flubber. And you're just going to sink in. Okay. So they want you... you know what? This sounds like Punch Up. They want you to play Punch Up from Dispatch, where you're like a little guy bouncing around and smashing people. Sure, why not? High mobility, it's supposed to be very frenetic. I'm not seeing anything that protects you against reactive strikes, but we'll see. Stunt damage. Whenever you smash your enemy into scenery, you do damage when you have adrenaline and force a target to move. And it is interrupted by a prop. So if you wall smash someone, right? If you slam them into a wall, or another person, they take an amount of damage equal to 1d6 plus strength. Okay. That's not huge. Like, if you use your starting action to run at someone, push them into a wall, or a dude, and then they take damage. I would like it as if I pushed enemy Alpha, right? Enemy 1, into enemy 2, into enemy Bravo. So if Alpha gets pushed into Bravo, I want both of them to take damage. What I'm saying is I want this class to be fights in tight spaces of the game. I want this to be the roguelike fights in tight spaces where you're shoving dudes into each other. Because that would be sick. That would be sick. We'll see. All right. But yeah, damage increases every 4 levels. So it's not huge, but it helps. Deny advantage. You are not off guard to equal or lower level creatures. Cool. All right. Oh, here we go. Galvanized mobility. You get +1 circumstance bonus to armor class against reactions. This is +2 when you have adrenaline. Oh, okay. And you get adrenaline before your action triggers. So what that means is if you use your daring stunt, if you run away from an enemy or run towards or between some dudes and they start swinging on you for moving, you have +2 armor. That's as good as raising a shield. So 1, this class is terrible with shields. 1, this class, the Daredevil, is terrible with shields because Galvanized Mobility already gives you a circumstance bonus to armor. +2 means you're still going to get hit a lot. It just means you won't get crit, right? You won't really get crit. So that's good. Again, why are they only 8 hit points, though? Right? 8 hit points and you're just sprinting around eating hits? That's your champion or your guardians looking at you like, God, this guy. Standard skills and general feats. Expert rank will saves at 3. That's pretty good. Good saves. Good saves. Better of weapons at 5. Yeah, you're a normal martial. At level 7, you get evasive reflexes. Okay. Your proficiency ranks for reflexes increases to master. So you get lightning reflexes at 7. Good. Good. You get the improved reaction. So yeah, high reflex. Makes sense. You get weapon specialization at 7. Pretty normal stuff. Master proficiency at 9. That's good. That is very fast proficiency gain for perception. So this class goes first often. At 9th level, you can replace the first level feat you got for free with another feat of 6th level or lower. Wait, this is Spider's thing. So you know how you start with a second feat so you always have access to 2 ways to gain adrenaline? I guess at 9th level they let you change that feat. Hey Austin, you're not that late. Daredevil's pretty normal so far. It's pretty normal. Okay. You get better armor at 13? Wait, is that when wizards get armor improvement? Oh, do you have I think you have terrible armor on this class. Wait. Oh, 8 HP, bad armor improvement? That's... Ooh, if you're sprinting around eating reactive strikes, that might be rough. And hey, y'all, thanks for the lurks. Daredevil expertise. Reckless techniques make you difficult to stand against. Your proficiency rank. Okay, yeah, you get class bonus. We don't know if there's a class DC. Weapon mastery, greater weapon spec. Yeah, you're a pretty normal martial. Wait a second. You get better will at 3. So you get expert will saves at level 3. Lightning reflexes at level 7. So master reflexes at level 7 and the better saving throws. Wait, when do I get fortitude? Do I not? I'm not seeing it. Oh, wait, are you supposed to sprint around and eat reactive strikes with low HP, but you're also getting bad fortitude? 17. Daredevil's fortitude. Oh my god, you don't get master fortitude until 17? Dude, if you run into a pair of giant scorpions and their tails just start stinging you as you're trying to run around, you're gonna look like me trying to fight the scorpion boss in Devil May Cry 1, where I just get poisoned and bam, I am dead, dude. Like immediately. Dude, that's terrible on Fortitude. Why is it so bad? Why are their defenses so weak? Maybe they have something in feats to make up for it, but their defenses seem terrible. Also, I will note, a big thing to note. So stunt damage, right? When you push dudes into scenery with force movement, they take damage equal to 1d6 plus strength, which sounds nice. It scales okay. Realistically, this doesn't do massive damage. It's just a nice side benefit more than anything. But, and props, of course, being any object bigger than you, basically. But weapon specialization is not added. So when you get bonus damage at level 7 or level 15, when you get that bonus damage on all your attacks, you don't add that to your stunt damage. So your stunt damage is actually scaling a lot slower than you might think. So you're missing another 2 or 4 points of damage, right? That adds up. That's a full dice worth of damage. All right. So improve stunt flexibility. At 15, you can now gain 2 feats instead of 1. The first feat must be 8th level or lower. The second feat can be up to 14th level. Okay, first off, why do you start with the low level feat and then go with this high level feat? Flip that, guys. Say the first feat is 14th level, the second feat is 8th level. What are you doing? Oh, I see why they phrase it that way. You can use the first feat to meet the prerequisites of the second feat. Maybe we should read the full sentence. Maybe. Nah. All right, yeah. So you get Juggernaut, you get the improved fortitude saves at level 17, gain critical success. Again, that's really late, and poisons against frontliners. I have seen swashbuckler tanks. I played with and played as a swashbuckler tank. They're pretty good, but their weakness is so clear. Poisons annihilate them. This class doesn't seem to be any better off, but is more fragile and has worse armor. Hey, look, a gnome. You never see gnomes. I respect it. All right, enduring adrenaline. Rush of combat keeps you on your feet. Oh, you get master. Ooh. Why is this locked to level 19? When you gain adrenaline, you gain temp HP equal to half your level until the beginning of your next turn. This should be like default. I think this should actually be default. Yeah, because that would explain if you're a low armor, low saving throw, low HP class, running around, eating hits, right? You want a little bit of temp HP to help be like, yeah, keep being risky, keep doing dumb things. You can take a little bit of extra chip damage every turn. You don't get that. You just don't get that. And you get master proficiency in armor at level 19. Okay. Okay, so it's not wizard tier. It's barbarian tier. This class has the defenses of a barbarian while having worse saving throws and 2/3 the HP. Less than that, actually. Less than 2/3, because barbarians have temp health. They better have some really good feats. It's high mobility, but they better have some really good feats. So let's take a look. All right, level 1. So you get 2 of these, remember. We get 2 of these at level 1. Bold Bluffs. Your attempts to feint gain the risky trait. So when you feint, you will gain adrenaline. That is, okay, first off, they made a mistake. This should have the risky trait on Bold Bluffs because you aren't allowed to use your extra feat to take this. This has to be your normal feat, which kind of sucks. I think feint is okay. I think feint is an okay. It's like an all right skill. If you're trying to run around, bounce off walls, smash people into other people, you're probably not standing around fainting very often. Also, if you need to pump strength, because, I mean, your base skill is an athletics action, right? You have to pump strength. You're not going to have charisma. You need dexterity. You need +3 dexterity because you're locked to light armor. You have to play a bonus strength, bonus dex ancestry. You need at least one of those to be a bonus stat just so that you can play this class. It's going to be rough to use Feint. All right. Breakaway attack. All right. One action, risky. Use a piece of your surrounding to make an attack. Describe how you use your environment, like throwing pans, kicking posts, slamming doors. Nice. You interact, make a melee or range strike. Any fundamental runes on your hand wraps apply to this. Melee strike has finesse and deadly D8 while doing 1d8 bludgeoning. Oh, that's better than a rapier. Yeah, that's good. D8, deadly D8. It's flourish. Oh, you can only do this once a turn, though. So if you want this to be your main attack, you only get the one shot. Then you have to punch them. Got it. Got it. A range strike has range increment 20 feet, deadly D10, and does 1d6 bludgeoning. If it's a normal item you threw, it's destroyed. Otherwise, it falls to the ground. DM can determine that your breakaway does different damage based on what you're using. Wait a second. Is this Beast style? Wait a second. Is this Kiryu's Beast style from the Yakuza games? Yeah, you can just smash dudes with random stuff. Or you could play like Jackie Chan, right? And pick up random props and hit people. Okay, that's sick. That's amazing. The fact that this also just gives you an unarmed strike with 20-foot reach and propulsive. Ooh, okay. Wait, what does propulsive do? It is pretty Looney Tunes. Is it propulsive that you do half your strength and damage? But it's a thrown weapon. I guess it's not a throw. Yeah, you add half your strength to the damage roll. That's kind of weird. I'll note this is finesse. So do they want this class to be dexterity focused, even though it gets good grappling? It's kind of strange. The range attack only does half strength damage, but here's the thing. Yeah, it's add half your strength to the range. But here's the thing. This is level 1. This Daredevil archetype, rogues will love breakaway attack. I think a lot of classes, I could see monk builds also loving breakaway attack, playing a character who just grabs random objects and smashes dudes. And as a rogue or an investigator, you can just grab pots and throw them at people and get really good damage on your scaling melee attack. This is a great way to open up your options at a low investment. Okay, if it's an archetype, that's 2 feats. That's not a low investment, but you know what I mean, right? Not a low gold investment, I should say. All right. I like this. I like breakaway attack a lot. Okay. Don't mess with me. Reaction. You need intimidation, you need adrenaline, and you need to get a crit on someone. Okay. That's a lot. After striking, you glare menacingly. Attempt to demoralize a creature in 60 feet that is not the creature you crit. Huh. Okay. So, useless against single target encounters, but I don't really like single target encounters, so I'm down. Does require you to crit. Really good for fighting groups of weak enemies. Not so good otherwise. And especially if you're... Hold on. I want you to crit. But if we assume you're bouncing around and grabbing people, bouncing around and tripping or shoving people, your attacks are going to be on your second swing. They're going to have multi-attack penalty. You're probably not going to crit, right? Crits almost always happen on your first attack. So that's a bit of an anti-synergy. I don't know, maybe in practice it works. I guess if you use breakaway attack a lot, it's good. Flying hurdle stunt. The target cannot be more than one size larger than you. And that's a requirement. So if that's a requirement, Titan Wrestler does not work here. You cannot Titan Wrestler. You're going to want to play a big character. But if you're a big character, you can't use your enemies as props. It's going to be hard to jump off stuff. So that's tough. Okay. It does have the press trait. As a reminder, the press trait is any action, anything that requires you to have multi-attack penalty. Oh, hey, Ruka. How you doing? How you doing? Welcome in. Hope you're doing well. Enemies can't be much bigger than you, so you're going to all be medium, maybe large to use this. You grab an opponent and flip yourself over its head. Based. Attempt an athletics check against the reflex DC of a creature in reach. Okay. So this is athletics. So once again, you need to be strength-based. On a critical success, you enter their space. The target moves up to 10 feet. Oh, you throw them 10 feet. Your movement doesn't trigger reactions, even if there's enough room to fit in the area. You gain a bonus to strikes against them. And on a basic success, you still move them 10 feet. Okay, so this is for wall slamming people. This is exactly for wall slamming people. Oh, and Happy New Year as well, Ruka. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful year. I don't know. It took me so long to say year. I don't know. I'm trying to eat a grapefruit at the same time. All right. Okay. So what's the point of this? The point of this feat is it's better reposition and it's better than shove. This allows you to hit the reflex DC, which is more often weaker than fortitude saves. And if their fortitude is high, you go for the reflex. If the reflex is high, you just shove them, right? This gives you options, makes it easier for force movement. But that's kind of all it does. It's okay, right? It's, again, the damage for wall slamming people isn't huge. It's just a nice side benefit. And this already, this already has the press trait. If this already is the press trait, that means you've already attacked or you've already moved in and grabbed them or knocked them prone, right? So if you move in, if you use your original skill to one action, move towards an enemy, shove them into a wall for some slam damage, you can then flying hurdle stunt and slam them again, and then maybe, yeah, okay. One, you're probably not going to crit. You're not going to crit succeed because it's a raw athletics check, which means you have -5, well, I guess -4 as a Daredevil, to the reflex DC. And if you crit, you get a +1 bonus to your strikes. But if you strike, that would be... This has the attack trait. Yes, it builds multi-attack penalty. If you strike, you'd be at max penalty. You'd be at that -8 or -6 penalty. Yikes. Okay. And if you crit fail, you become clumsy. Or clumsy. You become clumsy 1. Okay. Don't love that. All right. Another press skill. I think this is their thing. They're using a lot of press skills. You're supposed to use that original skill to rush dudes and trip or shove them. That is 100% what they want you to be doing all the time. Forceful kickoff stunt. Attack and press. They cannot be more than one size larger than you. Okay. I hope we see this go away, because if every enemy is massive, I've played late game. If you play past level 10, you start fighting huge and gargantuan enemies all the time. You run into a dragon, you can't do any of your skills on him. You're going to be begging your team for enlarge person handouts. In fact, you probably will be taking trick magic item and buying scrolls of rank 4 enlarged person so you can make yourself massive, because you're going to keep running into enemies you can't do anything against. And that's going to suck, dude. All right. You put a foot in their chest, pushing them away as you leap backwards. Acrobatics check against fortitude. Interesting. And you push them 15 feet away while leaping away and not triggering reactions. Okay, and on a crit success, it's the same, but they're only pushed 5 feet. Okay, yeah, so the idea is so they're built entirely around their original skill. Let me scroll up till we find it. Their base skill, daring stunt, one action, move in, hit them with an athletics, and then use some skill to either throw the enemy away or kick off and jump away from them. And you're getting more shoves. You're trying to repeated wall slam. You want multiple wall slams. That's the whole idea. But it's tough. It's tough. I see. And they do have crit fail penalties. And you're off guard if you crit fail. But because you have press, crit failing is actually on the menu, right? It might actually happen. Which this class is supposed to be risk and reward. It's supposed to be high risk. I'm not seeing a reward yet. Like doing all of this to do 2d6 plus twice your strength, I'm not seeing a reward yet. It seems okay. It seems fun. This class seems like a lot of fun, but it just seems too fragile, right? The moment you run into anything like a Barbazoo, a Barb Devil with reactive glaives that bleed you, or a scorpion that stings you as you try to move in, and you eat the poison, you're done, dude. Any dots, any poisons, they're gonna annihilate you if they work on reaction. That's the big gap I'm seeing. There's got to be something to help for that. All right, pressing pummel, press action, 2 actions. So is this power attack? This is power attack. Oh, but it explicitly does 1d10, and it's a press action. This is bad. Moving on, pressing pummel is bad. You don't want that. Power attack is already a maybe option on a greatsword with a d12. This is bad. Don't pick it. All right, rebounding fall stunt. Another press, another attack. This is all their stuff. All right, again, cannot be more than one size larger than you. So they showed a gnome. If you play a gnome with this class, you'll do pretty good. You'll do pretty good at low levels. But the moment you hit like level, I want to say 6 or 7, you're running into trolls, ogres, abominations. A lot of large creatures start to show up, and a small character like a gnome is going to not be able to do things. Minutia with Sun Action does not have the attack trait. Does that matter for the free check and multi-attack? Let's check. So, Hey, we're here for minutia. We're reading. All right, risky. Yep, anything risky grants you adrenaline before you start the action. You get it immediately. And the only reason it does that is because it turns on your shield. You raise a shield against reactive strikes, which I don't think is going to be enough. I really don't. And if you wall slam someone, you do a little bit of damage. Not a lot. It sounds impressive, d6 plus strength, and it increases like sneak attack. I don't think that's very good. It's okay. You'll like that you have it. You'll be happy to have it, but if you're relying on it, you're going to end up face down. But yeah, so it has nothing to do with attack. What it is simply a lot of these stunts have the attack trait and therefore suffer multi-attack penalty, right? If flying hurdle stunt, for example, just said Attempt an athletics check. I wouldn't care that you have multi-attack penalty, it wouldn't matter. But because it has the attack trait, multi-attack penalty is applying to your stunt. And your stunt is going to build more multi-attack penalty. Remember, the attack trait is badly worded. It makes you think, oh, I'm doing damage. No. What it means is this interacts with multi-attack penalty. This should say the map trait. This should be the multi-attack penalty trait. They call it the attack trait, but what it means is you get your penalties. So all these press actions with the attack trait, they're all suffering, right? So if you want to kickstand jump off someone, you get that -3. Actually, you get that -4. Because these are not the explicit actions. These are just raw skill checks. These are not, grab, trip, all the things that require a free hand. Because your free hand has agile. So they get the reduced penalty. These things don't. It just says attempt an acrobatics check, and also you have multi-attack penalty. -4, buddy. Because they do have reduced penalty, so that's good. But it's going to be rough. You're going to get a lot of minuses. If this class tries to fight an enemy 2 levels above them, and I don't think fighting enemies 2 levels above you is fun in general, but if this class tries to fight a higher level enemy, go home. Okay. This sounds like original Swashbuckler, where you're like, all right, now I'm going to do a sick kickflip off him. But his DC is like 3 points higher than normal. You're getting a -4 on the roll. You're not going to succeed. You're going to die. All right, anyways. But yeah, so can't be more than one size larger. Rebounding fall stunt. Entangle their lower limbs as you try and bring them down. You fall prone. Ooh, you fall prone. And attempt an acrobatics check against fortitude. So what I'm seeing is they don't get free skill increases. They just start with 6 skills. So unlike Swashbuckler, who gets to increase a skill, this class, you do not get skills. You are spending all your skill increases on acrobatics and athletics. This is non-negotiable. You need this for your build. But yeah, so if you succeed, they fall prone and you deal stunt damage. You then stand. Okay, but if you only base succeed, you don't get to stand up for free. And if you fail, you don't bring them down, but you can crawl. Hey, you take the feat where you can crawl full speed. That could be good. All right. This is really funny. I love the idea. I love the riskiness. If this class is opening themselves up to debuffs, if they're making themselves prone, they're making themselves off guard, 8 HP and barbarian tier armor scaling on light armor, it's not going to work. You're going to die. You're going to die. They need 10 hit points, and honestly, what they need is their level 19 feature. What they need is at level 19, where gaining adrenaline gives you a small amount of temp HP. That should be a level 1 default feature. Otherwise, I'm seeing a class that is going to get exploded. Might need to take the Acrobat archetype to just get the acrobatics increase. Probably going to be incredibly popular for the same reason it is on Swashbuckler. Because yeah, you need acrobatics for your skills. All right. Scrambling retreat. If you're targeted by a melee action, you have adrenaline and you are not encumbered. Weird thing to add. Do they think you're normally encumbered? Does anyone walk around encumbered? I don't know why you added that. All right. As a reaction, you slip away. You gain a +2 circumstance bonus to AC. Sure, again, you're not using a shield on this class because you already kind of get that benefit against reactive strikes. After the attack, you can stride up to half your speed, but the attacker can stride as well, keeping you in reach. That's a normal stride. That's just a normal stride. You will trigger reactive strike. So if the armed guard, the trained warrior, moves up with a halberd, swings at you, and you scramble away comedically, very Looney Tunes, I do love that. You know what? This class, like, very Usopp, right? Very Usopp from One Piece. And you scramble away, he'll follow you, but he's gonna hit you again. He's just gonna swing a second time, and you're not gonna get a defense bonus against the reactive strike. You're gonna get blown up. I know most enemies don't have it, but when one does, it's gonna be bad. All right. Wheeling pull stunt. Again, target can't be much bigger than you. You pull at their armor, do athletics against reflex to do what? And this is press and attack, so you do have map. And it builds map. All right, your target is grabbed. Ooh. And you step, oh, wait. Your target is grabbed until the end of your next turn unless you move. You step away from the target. Devs, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. The way this is written is that you grab a guy and then you move, ergo the grab breaks. It should flip the sentences. It should say you step away and move the target, and then your target is grabbed until the end of your next turn. Right? It should be flipped. We all know what it means. The idea is you grab them and can disengage and move them a little bit, right? So get a little wall slam damage, back off. The idea is now you're grabbing them by like something, but they can't hit you. This one's really strong. This is really strong. I think wheeling pull stunt is the strongest level 1 feat because grabbing at range while repositioning and also getting that extra D6 of wall slam, that's an insane value. This is the best one, I think, wheeling pull stunt. All right, but that's all level 1. All right. Roaming charge, level 2 feats. 2 actions if you have adrenaline. So you have to have done something already. And the main way to get adrenaline is to either throw something at them, like throw an object Kiryu style, or to have already gap closed. You stride twice, you can move through enemies, and you deal stunt damage to each enemy you move through. As normal, this triggers reactions. Oh, it's trample. Oh, there's no save. Okay. An undeniable 1d6 plus strength. Level 5, it's 2d6 plus strength. Not to reread, they remain next to me. Oh, wheeling pull stunt. They have to remain next to you. Oh, so you can move them 10 feet and that you can move them across from you. Okay, that's not as good. Again, technically it still breaks the grab. It breaks its own grab. We all know what it means. But all right, that's not as good then. All right. I'm not amazed by any of these then. All right, roaming charge is kind of nutty though. Damage that cannot be prevented, damage with no saving throw, that is a very rare thing. With that said, you're spending 2 actions, you're running through people, reactive strikes are still gonna blow you up, as is supposed to be this class's weakness. They gave it the bonus defense. I don't think +2 armor is going to save you. Maybe it will. I just don't think you're tanky enough. You need a little bit of temp health. But, you know, having damage no one can turn off is pretty good. Opening Gambit. On initiative. Perform a minor stunt. Attempt acrobatics or athletics against a standard DC. What? Oh my god! If you succeed the check, your initiative is a 19. If you fail the check, your initiative is a 1. Fuck yes. I would take Opening Gambit. That is funny. That's a funny feat, and that's what matters. Alright. Stunt driver. You need to have driving, piloting, or sailing lore. Okay. When you take reckless actions while piloting a vehicle, it gains the risky trait. Has anyone here used a vehicle? real question. In the comments, let me know. Has anyone actually used a vehicle in combat? Have you driven a vehicle in combat? Yeah, I know there's rules, but I think it's really clunky. I don't think anyone uses like a wagon. I don't think people are driving vehicles in combat. I think people fight on vehicles. I think people fight on boats or like you're on a train and bandits jump on the train and you have to fight them, right? Great fight. But who controls a vehicle in a fight? I don't think anyone's going to use stunt driver. Moving on. Trip up. 2 actions, press. Okay. This does not have the attack trait. Never mind, you make an attack, that's why. All right. 2 actions. You need to have map as usual. Make a strike a melee strike. If you hit, they're clumsy 1. This is a worse version of fearsome strike. There's a worse version of the strike that makes them frightened 1, because clumsy is worse than frightened. All right, sure. Tumbling tricks, level 2. You slip through their space of minor stunts. You attempt to tumble through. Oh, is this passive? It is passive. Okay. Also, I'll note the prerequisite for tumbling tricks is trained in acrobatics. There is no point in putting this here. You are already trained in acrobatics because you are trained in athletics and acrobatics by default. I guess this matters for archetypes, but for you, for Daredevil, doesn't matter. All right. Your attempts to tumble through gain risky. Literally swashbuckler at home. All right. On critical success, your movement does not trigger reactions. I get. Okay. This doesn't work. And I can't show you because I don't feel like opening Foundry. This doesn't work as written. The idea is, all right, this class is running through people, running around. This is supposed to be your anti-reactive strike. This protects you from getting hit by reactive strikes as you reposition and get your adrenaline. Fantastic. However, you do not roll for tumble through until you reach your target and attempt to move into them. You do not roll until you move into them, right? If you approach an enemy with reach and reactive strike, and enemies with reactive strike half the time do have reach, they will swing at you with their reactive strike before you roll the tumble through, because you have not reached the enemy yet, right? They're going to swing before you roll the tumble through. So I think they need to reword this to specify that you roll the tumble through before the movement starts. Because otherwise, it's not going to work. This is only going to work if you are immediately next to the enemy. And even then, technically, well, no. This only works if you start your movement right next to the enemy. Otherwise, they're going to hit you. So it needs a wording change. Otherwise, it's fine. All right. Wall sweep. Daredevil sweep. All right. Reaction. Force movement would hit you. And you have adrenaline and have a prop next to you. Okay. You can increase the force movement by 10 feet. Huh? Okay. You go with it. All right, you roll with it. If you do, you decide where the force movement takes you instead of the force movement. Ooh, okay, so you can turn it into a gap closer. You can make it beneficial. That's cute. I like that. Most enemies in my experience don't have force movement. This won't get used as often, but I really like how it works. And if your friends use force movement, this is really good. Like a friend can shove you and you use that shove to fly 15 feet in the direction of your choice. This is really wacky. You can get shoved by a friend to fly 15 feet behind them. So if you're badly injured, your friend tank can run up and shove you, and you fly through the tank to safety. All right. Wall sweep, if you use it as intended, is not great. But if you abuse it with your friends, is really good. Very Looney Tunes. Yes, I agree. All right. Level 4, Bouncing Hurl, requires breakaway attack. You have to have the Kiryu Beast stance. You have to have essentially improvised attack. You bounce an item off one foe to hit another. You can use breakaway attack as a 2-action activity to pick up an object and make a ranged strike. Ooh. As the item ricochets off your first target, make a second ranged strike at the same attack penalty against a different enemy within 15 feet. Yo, you get ricochet. The item used to make this attack is not destroyed or does not fall to the ground after you make the second attack. Wait, what? It does not fall to the ground? So if I throw a magic knife, it stabs into you, bounces off, stabs into the next guy, and then just floats there like a Gmod asset that I didn't code correctly. I don't think they thought that one through. It just floats there, because it doesn't say it gets stuck in the second guy you hit. It just says it does not fall to the ground. What does that mean? Gmod Pathfinder. Yeah, just you hit him so hard he just makes the flopping sound from when you clip ragdolls into each other in the source engine. Okay. This is really good though. I would play Daredevil for breakaway attack and bouncing hurl. And at that point, I think this has an issue. It's almost too good. If you use bouncing hurl, you are no longer playing Daredevil as intended. You are no longer playing a class about running around and bouncing. You are now playing a ranged attack class that just throws random objects at people for really good damage. You're just playing a ricochet stance fighter with the attack that hits 2 guys. But you aren't quite as good at it as a fighter. Like, it's so good compared to your other options, though. All right, anyways, what else we got? Daring Reversal, 1 action, press, and flourish. Interesting. You have adrenaline and are flanked. Okay, so Daring Reversal, this might be good. You run in between the enemies, you run in and flank yourself, trip one of them, and then reversal. Make a melee strike against 1 flanking enemy and attempt athletics to shove them. Oh, against the same guy. You don't need a hand free to attempt this shove. The check is the same map as the initial attack and does not count towards your map. The other enemy flanking you is then off guard. Wow. Yeah, Daring Reversal is good. Also, not limited by size. Not limited by size. This is very good. What you do is you run in, you use your initial skill to 1 action, run into a flank, trip or grab one guy, and then hit the other one and shove them away. Right? You shove them away to break the flank, and now you're in a great position. At that point, you might run away to disengage, or, I don't know, do something else. You're not going to carry a shield in this class, so the risk of being blown up is still quite high. Exhilarating Athlete. So when you have adrenaline, you gain climb and swim speeds. That is awkward because it means you might say, all right, I'm going to do a triple backflip, and then I climb up the cliff. The cliff's really tall. That's cool. I have a climb speed. At the beginning of your next turn, you no longer have a climb speed because your adrenaline is gone. Right? You no longer have a swim speed. What now? Didn't think this one through, huh? You jump better. Okay. That's cute. I mean, you can climb, you can jump. It's very stylish. It's hard to compete on the power schedule with the other two. High flying tumble stunt. Great names. One action, press, risky, and attack. You jump through the enemy space, rendering off bounce. You leap horizontally, and during this, you can move through the space of one enemy. You may attempt athletics against their reflex save. So you jump at an enemy to move through them. Making an athletics check when you try to enter their space. On a critical success, you move through, and you need to have enough speed to move through their space. And then they're off guard. This is bad. This is terrible. I wouldn't take this at level 1. Really? You jump at a guy, and when you have a -4 penalty, because again, free hand doesn't help you, a -4 penalty, you need to crit to make them off guard. Otherwise, this does nothing. And if you crit fail, you fall prone. Oh, if you base fail, you don't even move through them. And you trigger reactions. This is bad. High flying tumble stunt, F tier. Bottom tier, worst feat we've seen. Wall slam. There are at least 2 props on opposite sides of you. What? You scramble up between 2 props to gain a height advantage. Leap vertically. You must end your leap in an unoccupied space no more than 10 feet from your original position. If you end your movement within melee reach of at least one enemy, you may attempt an athletics check to trip them with a +2 bonus. Okay. This is not map. This does not have the press trait or the attack trait. That's really good. So this is really hard to use because you need to have, I guess, a wall on one side and a creature on the other side, which really wants you to play a small character and have a buddy next to you. But this means you can now leap at a nearby enemy, trip them with a bonus, and you have full multi-attack penalty. No, wait, no, sorry. You do use the trip action, so there is multi-attack penalty. There is multi-attack penalty. Be it an alley. Unfortunately, alleys won't help you wall slam. Also, why is this called wall slam? You aren't slamming anyone. The enemy doesn't even need to be near the wall. This should be called wall jump. You aren't slamming anyone into a wall. This one's just misnamed. This class is not straightforward. This class is very complicated. I'm judging as we go. I'm realizing this class is impossible to make assumptions for. Because it's dependent on what enemies do you fight. And more importantly than that, what maps does your game master give you? And one thing I'll argue, I think most D&D maps, Pathfinder maps, most fantasy RPG combat maps are terrible. They look nice, but when you look at them from a game design perspective, they're like a house or a square with a door. And tactically speaking, there's no cover, there's nothing in them. It's just a fight box. If you live in fight box land, which I think most people do in fights, most people do, a lot of Daredevil's class feats are bad. They just don't work. Yeah, they're arenas with very little cover. Alright. The wall slam does have map, because you do a trip attempt, right? It specifies trip. So it does have map, unfortunately. Never mind. It's not that good. It's hard to activate, and it gives you a +2 to the trip. That's just use your one action move and then trip, man. All right, at level 6, double breakaway. If you have breakaway attack, you break 2 items against a single body. Yo, we do a heat move. Let's go. When you have 2 hands free, you can do a 2-action breakaway in melee to pick up 2 objects and hit with both, doing an extra dice of damage. If you crit, they are stupefied. As normal, items are destroyed or fall to the ground. Okay, to take away. This is good. Breakaway attack is really good, so better breakaway attack is better. Unfortunately, this is only doing an extra D8 of damage, but the Stupefy is nice. You don't need double breakaway. I can see a lot of builds just not taking this. An extra D8 is negligible compared to doing all of your weird bounce around and do wacky stuff, right? However, this doesn't build extra maps, so you start your turn next to someone, you could do a double breakaway and then do a kick flip off of them to shove them into a wall and make some distance. You don't want the extra map, so that would be a good way to play it. However, I will note, it specifies the items fall to the ground. Right? It specifies the things you hit them with break or fall to the ground. Unlike Bouncing Hurl, which specifies that what you throw is not broken and does not fall to the ground. Which once again means whatever you threw at these guys is now just hovering in the air, clipping like a bad game model that doesn't know what to do. Alright. Head Smash, level 6. You have Adrenaline, you have a creature grabbed or restrained. Very easy to do. That's literally one action. Run in, grab. That's it. That's your one action. And the creature is next to a prop. Yo, let's go. Is you slam their head into the sturdy object, which could be their friend's leg. Attempt an Adrenaline athletics check against Fortitude. On a success, you deal stunt damage. Not a lot, but that's fine. This is not a high damage class. Who must attempt to target tests a Fortitude save against class DC or becomes stunned 2. And your target remains grabbed. Nice. And on a base success, you still do damage, and they're stunned 1. Ooh, Head Smash. Ooh. All right, there's a whole build where you just run up and slam people's heads into walls and tables, and that's all you do to a concerning degree. You just keep head slamming people. But if you fail, they're no longer grabbed and you get half damage. So it's risky. It is risky because it has press, right? You have to grab them. An athletics against Fortitude, that's not weird. What I'm not liking is the double point of failure. Triple point of failure. You have to 1, run in and grab. You need to hit the grab. 2, make an athletics check. 3, they then need to fail a Fortitude check in order to get stunned. I think in practice, you're not going to get a lot of stun. I wish you did. It's really cool. 2 points of failure, I can handle. 3 points of failure, I'm like, ooh. Now, this is a class about high risk, right? You don't want to play Daredevil unless you're the kind of person who goes, yeah, I'd win. I'm immune to bad. When I play card games, I win every hand. Right? You got to be that guy. I think I don't know. I feel like at least on a crit success, it should always stun 1 if they fail. Or like even if they succeed the save, right? Because you got a crit. You got a success into a crit. Alright. Rushing Stride, flourish and risky, but you need to not have Adrenaline. So first action. You stride. At the end of the movement, if you're in melee reach, make a strike. If you do, you are off guard against all other enemies except the one you attacked. A 1-action pounce is really good, and you get Adrenaline. That's really good. Rushing Stride is excellent. Again, This class gives you so many self debuffs, makes you so vulnerable to reactive strike. I don't understand how it's an 8 hit point class of bad armor. I just don't see how you survive encounters to do your stuff. Level 6, Weapon Twist Stunt. You have a hand free, and the target cannot be more than one size larger. You grab their weapon and spin it out of their body. Attempt acrobatics against their reflex. If you have a disarm weapon in your other hand, you get a +1. This lets you disarm with acrobatics. That's all it does. Yeah. All this does is let you disarm with acrobatics. But it has the press trait, so you have to have map, which means you're never going to crit succeed, so you'll never actually disarm them. You're just going to get a base success so that they get a penalty to their attacks. Until the end of its next turn. This is worse than disarm. Base disarm is a -2 to hit until you spend an action to adjust your grip. It's permanent, by the way. It's a permanent debuff. Weapon Twist Stunt, also F tier. Just worse than doing a disarm. Yeah, I know the point is you can use acrobatics. Oops. I dropped my grapefruit. One sec. Oh, life is so hard. Where'd it go? All right, I can clean this off. It's fine. It's fine. Just a piece of a grapefruit. It's fine. Has skin still. All right. Where were we? Level 6. Yeah. Weapon Twist Stunt. Bad. All right. 8th level. Accompanying Strike. This isn't the only feat, right? No, okay, there's another one. I was like, that can't be it. One action, press, so you can have map. You used your previous action to make a melee strike with a one-handed weapon that missed. That is very specific. I think the intention is you run in with your first action, trip a guy, try to stab him with a melee attack, right? Well, actually, no, you can't even use your fancy skills. It has to be specifically a melee strike that missed. So you can't use any of your fancy Daredevil skills. You just ran in and tried to stab him raw, right? You're trying to raw dog. And you missed. All right. But if you do, you can make a strike with the same weapon, adding the backswing trait, so +1 to hit, and increasing the size of the damage die by 1 tier. This is bad. This is terrible. Even with an agile weapon, you are running in, swinging a short sword, missing, and then swinging a long sword at a -5 to hit. Best case scenario. Why? Why? Don't do that. You're just playing a bad character. Don't do that. Do your grapple stuff. Just don't miss. Just don't miss. Or do all of your fancy backflips and stuff instead of just trying to raw dog him. Like, come on, man. All right. Escape Shuffle, 2 actions. If you are grabbed or restrained. If the enemies think they got you right where they want you, you spend 2 actions to escape. If you do, you attempt to reposition them. Remember, reposition means you cannot move them out of your reach. It's just 5 feet or maybe 10 feet of movement around you. Don't increase your multiple attack penalty until both. Regardless of whether you succeed, you can step. This is also bad. You know why this is bad? Because you could escape, then step, and not spend your 8th level feat. Sounds like Daredevil is meant to be played against low-level enemies. Yes, I agree. I agree too, for fun. Enemies, if you fight a single high-level enemy with Daredevil, go home. As we said earlier, just don't even try. You're just not going to succeed. Against crowds of like level -3 enemies, you're gonna feel so cool, dude. You're going to be so cool. You're going to be wall slamming. You're going to be doing backflip kicks off dudes' faces. It's going to be sick. The moment you run into dudes stronger than you, just don't even try. Daredevil is a bully. This is a bully class. You cannot win a fair fight. You have bad defenses, and you're super inaccurate. All right. Well, the main thing is I'm not seeing payoffs in their feats that are worth it. Reposition triggers reactive strike. I don't think it does. Oh, no. Yeah, because it's manipulate, right? So, yeah, if you try to reposition them, they'll get a reactive strike. Again, anyone with reactive strike just auto wins against you. All right. Heightened awareness. When you have adrenaline and attempt a check to target concealed or hidden, so, the 20 or 50% mischance, you roll twice and take the higher result. This is a fortune effect. When you are within 10 feet of an undetected creature, they are only hidden. This is blind fight. It's not like better or worse than blind fight. I think it's slightly worse than blind fight because blind fight's just always on. Oh, and you're still off guard to that. Well, the reason they didn't give you that is you're supposed to have I don't want to scroll that far up. You have the thing where you can't be off guard to dudes of your level or lower. So once again, high level dudes just blow you up. All right. Scrambling roll. You have to be an expert in acrobatics, which means you had to spend your skills on acrobatics. You don't get free skills on your keys. Again, you have to spend every skill on athletics and acrobatics. Non-optional. Non-optional. You do not get to choose skills on this class because you use acrobatics and athletics for every single feat, every single action. You have to increase them, or you'll just be bad. All right. Anyways, you need scrambling retreat, which remember, that is when they swing at you, you get to get a +2 circumstance to armor for that one swing, and you get to run away, but they get to follow you. And they get to reactive strike you because you don't have protection. So, all right. You can now scrambling retreat before a reflex save. If you do, the circumstance bonus applies to reflex save. If you stride and the source is a creature, the creature can stride. A wizard can cast fireball as you Looney Tunes run away, but the wizard casts fireball and you're Shaggy doing the Scooby-Doo like running in the air, and as you take off you see the wizard just sprinting after Shaggy like, oh, I'ma get ya. And it's like, why are you running after him, wizard? What are you doing? Oh, I'ma get you. Is that worth an 8th level feat? Well, I think it's funny, so I'm gonna go with yes. All right. And remember, we do get one of these feats for free. At level 9, you get like, I think a level 6 feat or less with the risky trait for free. The problem is I just don't like half of these feats. I just don't like half of these feats. Deadly disadvantage, level 10. Take the upper hand against weakened enemies. When you have adrenaline, you have circumstance bonus for strikes against clumsy or enfeebled creatures. The bonus is equal to double their clumsy or enfeebled. Okay. If you're master, it's triple in athletics. If you're master in athletics, it's triple the bonus. Cool. Damage is damage. Why are you making strikes on this class? Why are you making strikes? 2. You can apply clumsy. The only effects that apply clumsy on this class are press actions. You need to have map to apply clumsy, which means you, on your own, you can only use this on your 3rd attack, which is not gonna hit, right? And you don't really have any inherent damage boosters. You're doing champion or guardian tier damage when you hit, remember? Only you're probably using a one-handed weapon, because you need free hands for a lot of this stuff. So you're not. Also, you can't apply enfeebled. Only your friends apply enfeeble. You don't have a built-in way to apply enfeeble, unless I forgot one. So, that's not great. I mean, more damage is more damage, but yeah, unless you're Guardian. Oh wait, Proud Nail. Yeah, right. Like, and champions have Smite and Retributive Strike and shit. Like, it's. Why are you trying to stack damage on this class? They're not good at it. You're supposed to be pinballing around like Looney Tunes. Stop striking. All right, hit or miss, press and risky, and flourish. I dig it. Okay, make a melee strike. Gains the following critical success, fail, and crit failure. Replacing a... Oh. All right. You have to make an attack with map, so that's a -3 with your short sword. But you're probably using something with deadly or fatal. So what's an agile weapon with fatal? You should swing a karambit? Yeah. Okay, here's what you do. Play human to get the advanced weapon. Take a karambit, which is a sick-looking knife with fatal D8. Because if you crit succeed on hit or miss, you do triple damage. You do triple damage. How does that even interact with fatal and deadly? Right? Because instead of double damage, you do triple. I guess you would still just get the base bonus damage dice from fatal and deadly. You don't multiply those ever. But triple damage. Let's go. Oh boy. Are you going to get that crit? Only if you have a bard. Realistically, only if you have a bard or a cleric feeding you heroism, and a swashbuckler using all for one or one for all to buff you. Like, you need this class, if you want to land hits, you need the whole team to be buffing you like you're a magus. But triple damage, brother. On a fail, though, you do half damage, excluding damage dice. Okay. It's not really enough to matter, but cool. And if you crit fail, you miss, and they can make a reactive strike on you. They can just strike you as a reaction. All right. Hit or miss, you're taking this one. If you want to, I know I just want to rant on why are you striking. If you're striking, you're using hit or miss. That's it. You're using this because triple damage is so good. It's so funny. All right. Vigorous Adrenaline. If you have Adrenaline, spend an action. You gain temp HP equal to your level plus con until your next turn, and reduce 1 debuff of Clumsy, Enfeebled, or Sickened. Clumsy, Enfeebled, or Sickened. You then lose Adrenaline. Okay. Why is this level 10? Again, they really did not want to make it so you can access defensive buffs on this class. But I think it's so fragile, it just desperately needs defensive buffs so that it can do all of its wacky stuff. At least 10 HP or temp HP when you get Adrenaline. You need one of the two, man. All right. 12th level, Fortify Self. 1 action. You have to have Adrenaline. Once per hour, you gain resistance to all physical damage equal to half your level. What, so 6? Until the beginning of your next turn? Ew. What's below F tier? That's terrible. At level 12? Brother, raise a shield and shield block. You'll save more HP. Like, bro, what's an hour? Ugh. All right. D to the... Oh, yo, you can kick him in the balls. Let's go. Beat level 12. You grab a foe. The 1 action. Oh, and this is press, so you have to have moved in and tripped them already, right? Yeah, or drink a mutagen. Or just drink the elixir that gives you temp health every turn. And Anyways, attempt to grapple a creature in reach. If you succeed, make an unarmed strike against that creature. Okay, that's really good. You get grab and strike. You don't need a free hand to make this strike. If you hit and deal damage, the target is also sickened. You don't increase multiple attack penalty until you finish this. Oh my god. All right. So your turn is now action 1, sprint in. Probably eat a reactive strike and lose half your health. Sprint in, trip them. Now you could shove. Right? You could shove. At this level, you're doing 3d6, maybe 4d6 plus strength if you can wall slam. So if you can get that, sure. Most of the time, you're going to want to trip because trip is just a really good action. Prone is a powerful debuff. And then you can grab and then hit them. And if you land both, you get sickened. It's risky, right? It's really risky. You do so many athletics and acrobatics actions. This class, not only are you begging for a crumb of an enlarged person, but you're also begging your party for heroism. You're so hungry for heroism. You're probably picking up casting archetypes to carry scrolls of heroism for yourself because you're going to benefit from that +1 to all skill checks and attacks on everything you do. You need it. You're so hungry. Please, I'm just a little guy. I need to be a hero. That's sick though, yo. This class's actual specialties are trying to stab you in the kidney and kneeing you in the balls. This class fights dirtier than the monk. Than the rogue. Fights dirtier than the rogue. Which is really funny, but I'm here for it. All right. Topple the dominoes. 3 actions. Flourish? Yeah, I bet. Master in athletics. Okay. In a motion, you attempt to push a handful of foes. Stride. While striding, choose up to 3 enemies and shove or trip each of them, with no map until you finish all 3 attempts. That's good. Being able to move and shove or trip 3 dudes is really good. It's not damaging, but if you're not going for a damage build, if you're going for the wacky control build, this is a wildly good battlefield controller with no magic. If that's your vibe, this class is going to do pretty good at that. I think. Really hard to say. And again, your game master needs to put objects in the map. They need objects. Need it. Please. All right. Freewheeling strike. 3 actions. Level 14. You have to be adjacent to a prop. So you have to start your turn next to the prop because it's 3 actions, right? Using your environment, you stride, but you must remain adjacent to props during your entire movement. This is only usable inside of dungeons and maybe some houses. If your enemy walks 10 feet away from the walls, he is immune to your mighty skills. Make a melee strike against each enemy within your reach at any point. Each attack counts towards your multiple attack penalty, but you do not increase your penalty until you've made all your attacks. You can strike a single creature only once per creature during your move. Oh my god. Oh, this is their version of Whirlwind Strike. Oh, you get to hit every single dude along the way. All right, now note, you don't hit for very much. Like, you're level 14, your damage booster is weapon specialization. Pretty much guaranteed to be using a one-hand weapon. Maybe a bastard sword. Yeah. If you're strength-based, you're using a bastard sword, you're getting those D12s, and you're at the start of the combat, you're hoping you can get a freewheeling strike and land a bunch of D12, great sword level swings. That's your hope. Because if you're running D8 swings, it's okay. You know, it's okay, but D12s, ooh, that's hot. All right. Opportunistic maneuver stunt, level 14. Target can't be more than one size larger than you. Unfortunately, you are level 14. I regret to inform you, if you're medium or small, your target is probably more than one size larger than you. You just fight a lot of giant monsters at high levels. That's just how it is. You grab a foe, position it into the way of an ally's weapon. Use stride, and then if it ends with a creature in reach, make an athletics check to move them up to 10 feet on a crit success, 5 feet on a base move. That's not very far. It must remain in your reach. You cannot move it into obstacles. The target ends within the reach of an ally. They can attempt a melee strike as a reaction. This is terrible. This is a level 6 feat. This should be a level 6. No, this should be a level 8 feat. This is a level 8 feat that is at level 14. That is my conclusion. All right. Shattering breakaway, level 14. You need breakaway attack again. You shatter an object, its pieces stay in your opponent's skin. Use a 2-action breakaway attack in melee. You hit them. If you do damage, they take persistent bleed damage equal to double the damage dice, so probably 6. They're then enfeebled 2 for as long as they take persistent damage. Okay, now we're talking bleed damage and enfeebled 2. Ooh. Yeah, and also you can just wall slam them, right? This is good. Ooh, shattering breakaway is good. Really weird feat number. This should be level 10. You know why? Shattering breakaway is how you enfeeble them for a long time. But it's level 14. At level 10 is the feat for bonus damage against enfeebled creatures. Why do I have a feat to fight enfeebled creatures available before I have the feat to enfeeble the creatures? You know what I mean? They need to swap where these feats are. Or just get rid of the power attack at level 6 for shattering breakaway. It's just better. I know that's why it's not at level 6. It's probably too good at level 6, but like, bruh. All right, level 16, Deadly Rush. You need Rushing Stride, okay? When you score a critical hit during the strike with Rushing Stride with a deadly weapon, double the number of deadly dice. Okay. When you strike during Rushing Stride without deadly, it gains deadly D8. That's okay. That does another 4 or 5 points of damage. What's my stance on errata? Most of the errata is fine. Paizo did they did put out a correction for the weakness errata, for those unaware. They had made a clarification on how weakness works that if we took them by their word, meant that every instance of like fire damage were considered separate on your sword. So you would trigger fire damage. You could trigger fire weakness like 5 times if you had different spells and magic runes to buff fire onto your sword. It was ridiculous. And then they went, whoa. Doesn't work like that. And we're like, oh, okay. That's it. Like, oh, okay. It doesn't work like that? Good. Because it shouldn't. That's it. All right. Level 16. Risky overextension. Press and risky 2 actions. So this is your whole turn, right? Because you have to have done something already. Make a melee strike. This counts as 2 attacks for your map. You're not going to care because this is your turn. If the strike hits, you get a crit. That's good. That's really good. Okay, but if you're playing the Gamble class, I'm just saying we could spend 1 action and go for that triple damage crit. Oh, I know risky overextension is better, but triple damage. If you roll a critical hit, your weapon or unarmed attack gains the deadly D10 trait. Okay. This replaces its deadly trait. Use a fatal weapon. Use a fatal weapon. Deadly and fatal stack. If you critically miss, you are stunned 1, and no matter what, you are now off guard. Okay, risky overextension with a fatal weapon. Really funny. Really funny. You're happy Resentment Witch got a nerf? Here's the thing. I think Resentment Witch was like a little crazy, but kind of fine. Because Kill the Familiar? They can't refocus if they don't have a familiar. I know they specified that, but that's just because no one reads. You never could refocus as a witch without a familiar. That was always a thing in the original printing. It was just a single sentence in the flavor text. But you need the familiar to refocus. So if you lose it, you're sunk. To a point that I'm like, wow, that's maybe a little too harsh. All right. So risky overextension, pretty good. Pretty good. I like that more than the fighter equivalent. But it does just feel like an inaccurate version of the fighter equivalent. Storm of Debris. Breakaway attack. More breakaway. Okay. You hurl a myriad of objects at a group. You can use a 3-action breakaway attack to make a ranged strike against each enemy in a 15-foot burst. That's so good. Breakaway build, the Jackie Chan or Beast Mode Kiryu build, is the best. It's super cool. It's super fun. I love it. I love it. That's what I would play if I played this class. 100%. Yeah, players get mad if you focus their pet. Well, maybe they shouldn't use their pet as a weapon. You use your pet as a weapon, then I'm going to open fire on it. That's it. That's how I see it. If you don't use your pet as a weapon, I'm not going to open fire on it. When you weaponize it, well, it's a combatant. All right, 18th level, Daring Critical. You get crits when you roll a 19. Okay. Normally, I think this feat is bad. I think on classes like Fighter, I never consider the auto crit on 19, right? But this one specifically is for actions. Wait. When you have adrenaline and strike with a weapon or unarmed attack for which you have the master proficiency during a press action. Why are they specifying master proficiency? That's a weird thing to specify. I don't think they need that. But you crit succeed on the 19. Because this class has press, you're always swinging with a penalty. Daring Critical is sick. Combine that with either risky overextension or my beloved hit or miss, and you're just gonna blow something up sometimes. Yeah, you gotta. All right, what's your alternative? Lucky Spark. Level 18 reaction. You attempt a saving throw, and you have adrenaline. Then as a reaction, tap your adrenaline to roll the save twice with a +2. Level 18. I mean, it's good. Don't get me wrong. It's really strong. Saving throws are incredibly common at high levels. You're going to use this constantly. But like, well, it's okay. It's level 18. Okay. I mean, it's not very flashy. It's good. You need defenses badly. Also note, you never go past expert will saves on this class. So you really need that. Dominate's going to ruin you. Level 20. What do we got? What's our fancy stuff? Can't Catch Me. You need Scrambling Retreat. So you need the Scooby-Doo run. At the start of each enemy's turn, you gain an extra reaction for Scrambling Retreat. Raise a shield. Oh, my bad. I really wish I had +2 circumstance armor to every enemy's attack. Wow, now that I'm level 20, I have +2 defense. That's crazy. Hey there, wizard. How are you getting defense? Raise a shield. Am I crazy? Am I insane? Just raise a fucking shield. If you need defense that bad, then just click the button that says gain defense. It's right there. It's like 1 gold to buy a shield. Not even counting shield block. Not even counting cool magic shield perks. It's terrible. Shield is a cantrip. Uh-huh. All right. Well, that one's. I don't think that's good. Reckless Abandon, level 20. You are quickened. The first time each encounter you gain adrenaline, you're quickened for 1 minute. Sure. Pretty normal for level 20. Ultimate Stunt Flexibility. You gain a third feat. 8th level, 14th level, and 18th level feats. Neat. Why? Wait. This is terrible. What? This should just be a class feature. And you can retrain your feats in 1 hour. Bro, you are level 20. You are spending your ultimate capstone feat. The feat you're probably going to use like 4 times before your campaign ends. To get an 18th level feat, you already get the 8th and 14th level feats. Those aren't special. All you're getting is an 18th level feat. You already have an 18th level feat. It's called your level 20 feat. And you only have 2 level 18 feats to begin with. Note, neither of these have the risky trait. You can't even take them. You have to take risky overextension at level 16. This is the only feat with risky. This is the only feat you get. This is terrible. Doesn't work. There's no feats to take with it. Also, again, this is your level 20 feat. Why are you taking a lower level feat with your high level feat? How is that a benefit? That's bad. That's bad. You take Reckless Abandon. It's the only one that's worth it. Well, that's Daredevil. It's interesting. I think it's... Oh, this class is going to cause so many arguments, dude. Oh my god, no one's going to agree, and they're all going to be right. That's the worst part. Some people are going to tell you, this class sucks. You can't even wall slam anyone. And you know what? He's right. Because his GM, they fight in fields and forests. Not even forests. They fight in fields and near shrubs, and there's no walls. You can't wall slam anyone. But the guy he's arguing with is like, no, I always fight groups of enemies in formation next to each other. And they fight inside of buildings and small dungeons. And he's going to be like, this class is amazing. I'm shoving dudes into each other all the time. No one ever has reactive strike. And the third guy's like, I only fight higher level enemies with reactive strike. This class died on the first encounter, and we made 2 more, and they also died. And they're all right. They're all right. Because it happened to each of them. This is so encounter and map specific. It is impossible. It's impossible. That's right, Toto. There is not even a class, or a feat. There's not even a feat or a class feature that allows you... In fact, you don't even... Oh my god, it's called Daredevil and I don't have blind fight. Yeah, you have heightened awareness. It's not blind fight. You can't let the devil out. You can't even let the devil out or get your Catholic guilt install. Wow, 0 out of 10, no Daredevil points. I think this class is too fragile. I think they have to crank the HP. They have to crank the HP or the defense somehow. The Kiryu build, the Jackie Chan jumping around build, the, using improvised weapons, beautiful. The improvised weapon archetype was bad. This is good. I do agree. Daredevil is a for fun class. If you fight groups of weaker enemies all the time in good battle maps, which you should, but that's a lot of effort. It's a lot of effort for your game master. You're gonna have a ton of fun. You're gonna have a ton of fun. Anything else, it's gonna be miserable, right? If you fight what I would call bad encounter design, which isn't bad that people run it, it's just that these fights are kind of rough, man. They're not as interesting. They're not as tactically in depth. Then the class sucks. That's my thoughts.